President Biden's family is urging him to stay in the presidential race after that weekend at Camp David. And so as top Democrats do close ranks around President Biden after that debate performance last week, Ashley Etienne joins us now from our D.C. studio to further discuss. Ashley, you have so much experience on Capitol Hill, of course, in the Biden White House, working closely with Vice President Harris. Let's begin with her.
Sure.
Vice President Harris, in the immediate aftermath of this debate, goes on television, defends President Biden. What is her role now at this fragile political crossroads and moment for the Biden administration, politically and inside, even as a confidant of the president?
I mean, that's the question I have really for the White House and for the campaign is what is the strategy to utilize her? They have to better position her because,
you don't think she's being well positioned?
No, I said better. So I think she is. Over the last couple of years, you've seen where she now is polling higher among key constituencies, higher than Joe Biden in some respects. So she's always added value, and now you're starting to see that in the poll. But the question is, after Thursday, now the pressure is mounting on her. We've already seen now where editorial boards from the Wall Street Journal to others are starting to question whether or not she's capable, competent, and ready for the job. So I think they need to actually start to position her as an even bigger asset for him, start to use her more on the national stage, give her more speeches, bigger speeches, create a bigger platform for her. And I think that'll, to some degree, settle the concerns that Democrats are having.
Where do you think she has been effective? We always hear about her work on abortion rights.
Yeah.
Put that aside for a second, because she's gotten a lot of credit for galvanizing Democrats on this issue. As someone who has worked closely with her, where do you believe she's been effective in the last few years, and where could that spotlight maybe be? Because you're right, there are some concerns among some voters about her. So where do you think she hasn't done enough maybe to play up what she's done?
Well, I mean, I want to give Anthony some credit here at CBS. I mean, there was a CBS polling that showed that she does incredibly well with young people, people of color, with women. That was maybe a year and a half ago. Took that poll into the White House. Look at these numbers. Now they started to over-index with those constituencies. And now she's out-polling the president with those particular groups. And as you know, those are going to be key constituencies winning in these battleground states. So she's already creating value. The other thing that I think she's doing very well is she's doing more non-traditional media outlets. She's sitting down with influencers that have big platforms. So they're becoming more innovative with how they actually attract key constituencies and meet voters actually where they are. And so that is where I think she's having an outsized impact on this race.
When I look ahead at the calendar, I see the vice presidential debate, which is possible, likely to happen at some point whenever former President Trump picks a running mate, and also a convention speaks. How do you believe, based on your conversations with people close to her, your knowledge of her, how she's going to handle those two things?
Well, I mean, I think they know those are big moments and very important ones for her, as well as they're very important ones for the president. I think she's going to continue to draw on the issues that she's strongest, which is the reproductive rights fight. Democracy is a strong suit for her. Climate, she's, has a track record even dating back to her time in the Senate as a leader on those issues. So I think she's going to lean into her strong suits. She's going to play to her strengths, which is she's got the ability to appeal to those key audiences in a way that President Biden does not. So the idea is, how do we lean into that? But then also, how do we really present her speech, her accomplishments, her value in a way that's creative and not stale and trite? So in other words, how do we go beyond just a speech at the podium? Do you create some content around that? Do you create events around that where she can actually show more dimension than just a speech? And I think that's her challenge right now. She's got to prove that she's ready for the job just in case anything were to happen, but also make herself very relatable so that people actually are drawn to her and want even more of her.
And finally, you have been a top aide to Vice President Harris. You've also been a top aide to Speaker Nancy Pelosi. When you talk to your friends on Capitol Hill, House Democrats, those who work with House Democrats, do you sense real talk, so an uproar that they want to nudge President Biden out, or are they just kind of unhappy with the debate and they're ready to back him at the convention?
So we're doing real talk?
Well, we always do real talk.
I love how you...
We always do, but I know you're a very plugged-in Democrat.
Yes.
I'm just really trying to take your temperature.
Sure.
What is the actual
mood?
Yeah, the mood and the actual reality of how House Democrats feel about the aftermath.
Okay, here's the reality in the mood. The mood is folks were definitely very freaked out on Thursday night.
They were.
folks woke up.
So that wasn't overplayed in your view?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, I mean, you saw the debate. I don't think that, I mean, people were rightfully freaked out about it. But not just Democrats. I will say a lot of Nikki Haley voters were in my phone as well, because they have, you know, they're vested in Joe Biden's success because they don't want Trump, obviously. But the other thing is they woke up then Friday morning, saw the North Carolina speech, and folks got enthusiastic again. Folks got pumped up, fired up all over again. And I think it really made this point that he just had a bad night. Not that he's bad, but that he had a bad night. And so that's the mood. The other thing that I think is most helpful, and is something that you talked about at the top of the show, which is the leadership of the party rallying around the president. That has really helped sort of tamp down any public comments about being dissatisfied with how the president performed. But I think Democrats are feeling encouraged by it. But can I just add one thing? I think Thursday night really forced our hand in a way that hasn't been forced before. It forced us to do what we, I think, have been knowing as a party we've needed to do, and that is to stop being so polite to the president and to the campaign and start to activate the bench around Joe Biden. And start to utilize our assets more effectively. You know this. You followed a lot of presidential campaigns. It's typically not until 3 weeks out that we start to activate these big surrogates. But now it's going to happen sooner than it ever has before. The Gavin Newsoms, the Whitmer, get all of them out in the field and start to create more energy.
You know all the players. You know what's happening. We appreciate it, Ashley.
Of course.
Thanks so much for joining. Ashley Etienne, always on top of it.